Welcome back to the Nutrition Made Simple podcast. At Healthy Steps Nutrition, we believe something as fundamental as nutrition shouldn't be complicated, which is why we focus on a simple, habit-based approach when working with clients. I'm your host, Nicole Aucoin, registered dietitian and founder, Healthy Steps Nutrition, CrossFit HSN, and HSN Mentoring. I'm also the author of The Healthy Kids Cookbook, 100% kid-approved recipes the entire family will love. You can find it on Amazon. In this podcast, we will be teaching you how to take one step at a time to become the healthiest version of yourself. Today's guest is Josh Olsen. He is the Director of Accounting at Dellbrook JKS Construction, and also the 2018 winner of the Employee Challenge that we did back with the company a few years ago. We went back to Dellbrook JKS Construction exactly 3 years later to host another challenge for their employees, and we could not believe what we saw. Josh had lost over 80 pounds because he had continued with all of the healthy habits that we had helped him establish during the challenge. He continued to see amazing results. And this time around, he was the ambassador, encouraging everyone around him to get involved with the challenge and to just dive in and do the work because he saw firsthand the return on the investment in his health. In this podcast, we talk about his journey to losing over 100 pounds and what it meant to him to have the support of his company and really invest in his health. Dellbrook JKS is owned by Mike Fish. He is an avid CrossFitter, loves adrenaline, everything. He is so much fun, but he truly understands by investing in his employees and their health, they are going to become a healthier and better version of themselves. And the return on investment with that is absolutely priceless. We will get to this episode with Josh right after this message. Do you work for a company who's looking to build an employee wellness program, or maybe looking to get their employees healthier? We would love to help you. You can click the link in the show notes to find more support and additional free help with employee wellness and to learn more about our employee wellness program. You can also click the link in the show notes to see some amazing story videos from Dellbrook JKS. Man, these employees did such an amazing job. And the cool thing is their employee wellness program did not end at the end of the challenge. It's just beginning. They have ongoing support for their employees to continue all the awesome progress that they set up during the challenge. All right, let's get to this episode with Josh. Josh, welcome to the Nutrition Made Simple podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to share your story today. We just celebrated a huge milestone with you in person as you guys wrapped up the Employee Wellness Challenge. What was the milestone?
So officially, I am down 100 pounds from our first fitness challenge or healthy challenge from 2018. So it's a huge milestone for me.
That is incredible.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. The feeling was awesome when I was able to look down and see that number and just kind of soak that all in. It was just it was amazing.
We joked when it actually happened, you stood on the scale and we realized it and we said, you've lost a human. You've legitimately lost a human.
Yeah. And to be honest, it feels that way. It really does. When you're overweight and you're that heavy for so long, and then you take that amount of weight off, it really is. It feels like you just let go of just a lot of stuff. It feels tremendous.
Man. Well, I want to take me back. So prior to 2018, how much did you weigh then? How did you get to where you were in 2018?
So back in 2018, when we did the first initial challenge, I was actually down a little bit of weight from my all-time high. So I still remember the number clear as day, 297.4. I'll always remember that. That was when I realized that I need to change. I need to do something different because this isn't going to work. I've always been overweight my whole life. And it's something I've always just lived with. It got worse as I was getting older. I am 40 years old now. So, the way that I was eating before, it's like, it was doubly worse, the older that you get. And I still remember that number. I'll never forget it. 297.4 in 2018. And then, I wanted to make a change. I didn't know how. I've gone on all these, the diets before. I tried keto. I tried all these other, fad diets, quick trick, acting, these diets that's supposed to give you quick results. And it was, they never worked. They would work short term. But at the end of the day, I would always put on more weight than what I was initially went into that diet with, or over a long period of time. So I really wanted to make a change. I didn't really know how. And then at the end of the summer and coming into the fall of 2018, Mike had brought you guys in and introduced us to you guys, and hearing what the program was all about. It felt like it was something that I could live with over a long-term time. It wasn't just a diet. Because whenever you hear the word diet, right, you always think of, okay, I'm going to switch how I'm eating, or I'm going to switch what I'm doing over a short period of time until I hit a goal. And then what? And then it's just, you're going to go back to what you were before. So I hate the word diet. I always have. It's just, it feels like it's an end product. And then when you get to that end product, there's no basis going forward. So when I learned about you guys' program, when you guys came in, it seemed like something that I could do over a long-term time, and I could really make a lifestyle change and change the way that I approached nutrition and food and the way that I looked at it. And I was excited to get going back then. I did weigh in at the first weigh in there at 281 pounds. And as I said, getting into that program changed the way that I ate, and the foods I ate, when I ate the foods, and looking at macros and things like that. I'm a big believer in holding yourself accountable. So I track everything that I eat, and that works for me. And that was initially part of the program, was, trying to track your food to see what are you eating and how much of, different macros are you really consuming. And that kind of spoke to me. I'm a numbers guy.
You are the director of finance at Dellbrook.
So, hearing percentages and stuff like that speaks to me. So I'm able to do that. And tracking all the food was huge for me. And really getting a sense of what was really going into my body was an absolute eye-opening experience.
Talk to me about that. What was something that you were like really surprised about when you started tracking your food and just paying a little bit more attention to what you were eating?
So it was right from day one. Foods that are labeled as healthy or supposed to be healthy, that when you actually look at the nutrition facts, and then when you actually log it in, you see what is really what that food is made up of. So many things are just so high in carbs and sugar and fat, even healthy things that are supposed to be good for you. And when you really drill into it, they're not healthy, and they're not nutritious, and they're not doing anything, but they may fill you up for a half an hour, 45 minutes or an hour, but then you're going to crash from just having too much sugar and too many carbs, and not having that right balance of fats and protein and carbs. And I really saw the value in that when I started logging the foods that I was eating, and I was seeing what it was. And I was like, wow, this is I'm not even close to what I should be doing. And I'm eating supposedly healthy foods. So that was an eye-opening experience. Like I said, that was huge to actually see what was coming out.
So you started logging your food. You were so engaged in the challenge the first time around, and you actually won the challenge the first time around. So you were the winner. And I want to this was one of the first times that Dellbrook had someone come in and really deliver a wellness program for you guys. Talk to me about how the culture changed in the office, and even just like with the fellow employees that you are working with the first time around. And then we'll dive into this time too.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first time around, there was some good engagement. And I think I think it was an eye-opening experience for everybody. Like I said, this is the first time that Dellbrook really brought in a program like this, and I think it opened up the eyes to a lot of people here about, hey, what you're consuming, and the way that you're consuming it it's supposedly it's supposed to be healthy, but it's not. And really, diving into that. And I think the engagement on the first time go around was really good. And for me personally, I had one goal in mind, and that was to lose as much weight as possible. Uh, I'm a very competitive person, and I think, Mike now, and Mike is a hyper competitive person. So I think that kind of resonated with everybody, and it's infectious, right? It really is. It's infectious. And once, when you have a group of people that get together and they're really holding each other accountable, it's fantastic. And it creates a culture of wanting to do better and making those strides and being competitive, right? And wanting to be the best that you can be.
I think you hit the nail on the head right there. Like, you guys were all just wanting to do the best that you could do, but also support each other, right? Like, the culture started changing in the office. You guys were looking at healthier options. If you were bringing in food, you guys were talking about healthy recipes. The stuff on Fridays that you guys bring for breakfast started switching. It wasn't just a bunch of sugary donuts and bagels. It was like, okay, where's our protein coming from? What's the balance here so that we can have protein, carbs, and fat? And I would venture to say a lot of people realized, man, when I eat better, I have more energy. I feel better. And it's not just about the numbers. Now it's about, okay, I'm actually more productive at work because I can concentrate more because I'm fueling my body appropriately.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's been the first go round, and this nutrition challenge. That's been the consistent message that everybody that's been involved in this program. That's probably the number one thing that they say is, I have so much more energy. It's crazy to think that when you put the right foods in your body, the energy levels they can go through the roof, because you're not getting weighed down by, like you said, all like those high carb, high sugary foods, and the bagels and the donuts, and the coffee drinks that have a lot of sugar in them, and then when you crash, you're going to have another sugary coffee drink, and just to keep that level up. But when you get it naturally from the foods, that's been one consistent that everybody that has been involved in this challenge has said. It's just the energy levels are through the roof. And that's the same with me. I mean, that's been one of the biggest things is I don't get tired in the middle of the day anymore. I used to be tired all the time. I was yawning all the time. And my energy levels were always so low. I would be okay in the morning, but coming 10 o'clock in the morning, I would need more coffee. And I would need more coffee in the middle of the day. And I need more coffee when I was leaving work to go home. And now it's the total opposite. I have my coffee in the morning just because I think it's routine, and you get into routines, right? But it's black coffee now. There's no, I took out the sugars and all that other stuff. And now I don't have to worry about it later on in the day. My energy levels are sustained throughout the whole day, which is awesome.
I love it. So you won the challenge back in 2018. You continued to see amazing results. And we actually didn't even recognize you when we did the second challenge in 2021. Like, holy cow, you've at this point lost 80 pounds. Talk to me about that journey. So you wrap up that challenge, you win, and so many people do what you were talking about earlier, doing a diet, and then they regain the weight they worked really hard to lose because they truly don't make it a lifestyle. What were some of the things that you did to continue to see the results and continue with the things that you set up back in 2018?
So I think that one of the best things about the program, and what I've learned and what I picked up going, dating back to 2018, is making small changes, and don't go all in on making these huge changes that just aren't sustainable. Make small changes as you go. And then as you get these small changes, they add up over time, and one of the things for me that was sustainable is, I know you guys preached this the first time that we had this and the second time, the plate method for me was like one of the biggest takeaways. I still like to log my foods, but I necessarily don't have to be as stringent with that anymore. Because if you follow just something as simple as the plate rule, you're going to see results.
Yep. It's so simple. And when you log the plate method, like if you were to log the food using the plate method, it is very close to 40% carbs, 30% protein, 30% fat on most plates. If you're doing a balance. So you do stay in line. I love that. And I think it's a really great point. So many people go all in. You talked about some of those diets before. Those diets, the framework of those diets are all in. Change 1 million things so that you see really, really good results. But you end up feeling overwhelmed and you go right back to old habits versus what you're saying now, like, hey, let's just take one step at a time. And those small changes add up over time.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing too is you hit the nail on the head when you said a lifestyle change. It really is. It's changes that you make that is sustainable over your life, and you don't feel like you're giving up things or you're losing something, right? You don't have to give up all the foods. You consume them less, and you want to consume them less. Once your body is used to getting all the veggies and the lean proteins and you feel those changes in your body, you're less likely to want those foods that are very, the very high fat, high sugary foods. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to cut them out completely. And that's the best thing is, and I think this is, in most things in life, when you are forbidden to eat something or you're forbidden to consume something, you're going to want it even more. Right. And then when you're done with that diet or when you're done with that, whatever you're doing, the first thing you're going to want to do is like, I'm going to go out and I'm going to have a big piece of cheesecake because I haven't been able to have that in 8 weeks. So I'm going to go and do that right now. Whereas now it's like you make these small lifestyle changes and you can still have, those indulgent treats every once in a while. I think the goal is, you have good days and you can have bad days, but when you string it enough good days together and you're inconsistent with these good days, when you do have a bad day, it doesn't impact you at all.
And you go right back to the good days. Like you have all the tools that you need to get right back on track. And I think that's what happens a lot of times with people is, one bad day turns into a bad weekend, week, month. Before you know it, a year goes by, you're like, how the heck did I get here? And if you were just like, hey, that happened, let's get back on track. Let's reframe, refocus, and get back to the fundamentals, what you're just saying, the plate method, right? Like, let's get back to the simple things. And, if you understand the why behind it, like what is your why, I would venture to say, and I'd love for you to talk about that, when you saw that 297.4 on the scale and you're like, okay, I never want to see this number again. What was your motivation to start all these changes? Because at the end of the day, it was hard. It wasn't like it was super easy to change your lifestyle. What was your motivation to really want to do this?
Well, first and foremost, I think for me, it's my family. I have a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old. And there's a whole, a lot of reasons why I would want to do it for them. The first one is I want to set a good example for them. The example that I was setting before wasn't, necessarily good. I wanted to set a good example for them saying, hey, eating healthy is a good thing, and I think that was one. And two is being able to go outside and play with the kids and keep up with them. When I was that weight, when I was 297 pounds, 300 pounds, I was tired all the time. And, the kids would want to play. I could play for maybe 10 minutes and I'd be winded, or I'd be really just, sweating just so much because my blood pressure was so high, and and them seeing me like that, like, hey, daddy, you're really sweating. And I'm like, yeah, I know.
It's hot in Boston in the winter.
Yeah. And I want to have that energy to get out and play with them. That was another thing. And to be honest with you, I want to be around in 20 years if my daughter gets married in 20 years, 25 years, if my son gets married in 20, 25 years, I want to be around for that. If they have kids and I have grandkids, I want to know my grandkids. I want my grandkids to know me. And, if I was kept going down that path that I was on, where I was very unhealthy. I mean, I'm 5'8". I'm a short guy. I'm not a tall guy. So being 5'8" and 300 pounds, that's, that's simple math. It doesn't work.
Right.
So I wanted to be sure that, that my kids and, hopefully my grandkids know me for a very long time. And that was a big driver for me.
I love that. I think that's when you can take away, it's not hitting a number. It's like, it's bigger than that. It's, setting a good example. It's being around for your kids. That is a driving motivation for all the little decisions that you had to make every day to create the lifestyle that you have today.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what it is. Like you said, it's not, the program is fantastic. And if you follow the basics of the program, it will work, but at the same time, you have to still put in the work.
That's it.
You still have to make those right decisions. And when you're in it and you're doing it every single day, things come up all the time. Everybody has different stresses that they're going through in their life, whether it's financial or work or, maybe there's issues with certain family members, or there's always stress, right? There's always stress. And when you have those stress, it's very easy to get off track, and it's very easy to say, especially for somebody like me that has been overweight my whole life, eating has always been a comfort zone for me. So when you get into these stressful situations, or you're faced with something that is stressful, my first human reaction was to eat. That's what it was. That's how it's always been. And making that decision not to, or making that decision to say, you know what, I'm not going to have French fries. I'm gonna have my salad, or I'm going to have my roasted vegetables instead. And doing that every single day, it's hard work, but if you stick with it and you make small changes, those larger changes and those decisions become easier to make.
I love that. It just becomes second nature, right? It's not like you have to think about it and make tough decisions now. It's like, oh, this is what I'm having. This is balanced and we're good. And I understand why I'm doing it because I feel better. I have two last questions for you. The first one, you've lost 100 pounds. Yep. What in your life has changed now because of all the hard work that you've done?
First and foremost, like we talked about earlier, the energy levels, it's like night and day. It really is. It's like night and day. That's probably been one of the biggest things for me. It's being able to actually just look in the mirror and actually look in the mirror. There's been so long where I would only look in the mirror just to make sure my hair wasn't all messed up, because I hated it. I wasn't proud of the way I looked, and and I didn't like the way that I looked, but I knew that was me. So I avoided the mirror at all costs. I don't do that anymore. I don't have to. I make it a point now to weigh myself every single day. And it's not just to try to hold myself accountable. It's because I'm actually comfortable doing that.
You're proud of yourself. Like, you're like, hey man, I worked hard for this number, and I'm proud to be where I'm at.
Absolutely. There's a lot of pride there, and that speaks volumes about that change and being where I am now. And to be honest with you, I know that this is going to be a lifelong journey. I have goals in mind. You got to set goals for yourself in order to make them. But for me, this is a lifelong journey. This isn't just something that, I want to get to a certain number and then I'm going to be okay. I want it to be a journey where this is constant, and I'm constantly, thinking about health and nutrition and making sure that I'm the best that I can be. And not just say, all right, I want to be 170 pounds because that's what is considered normal in medical terms. I mean, For me, that's not good enough. I want this to be a lifelong journey. Because for the last 40 years, it's been something that I've had so many challenges with. And it's been a struggle for me, and not have it be a struggle anymore. It's fantastic. And some of the smaller things, like I used to just constantly sweat because like I said, my blood pressure was through the roof. That doesn't happen anymore. I'm always cold, to be honest with you, which I'm okay with that. Simple everyday tasks, putting shoes on. I struggled to put shoes on. It was a chore. It was. I used to get slip-on shoes. I used to buy slip-on shoes because I didn't have to worry about ties. Going clothes shopping was an absolute nightmare before. It was a nightmare. Like I said, being 5'8", 300 pounds, you go to that big and tall section in the store, it's limited in what they have. And you also got to take into account that second half of that statement, the tall piece.
You're not there very tall,
which I'm not. So finding clothes that fit was an absolute nightmare. And if I did find something that fit, I'd buy 6 pairs of the same exact thing. And because I knew that it would fit, and I knew that that it would feel okay. Now I can walk into any store that I want to, and I can go and I can pick out something right off the rack, and I have so many more options, and I don't have to be stressed about that. It was stressful when I had to get new clothes because I was always nervous. Back then it was, the 44 waist is getting too tight now. Now I got to go to a 46, but they don't sell 46s in Kohl's, in Macy's, and Target. I got to go to a specialty store, which makes it even more stressful because, you look at that and you're like, well, I'm going into these stores and I'm automatically being labeled something.
Right.
Now I can go anywhere I want and I can pick out things and I don't have to worry about that anymore. And that's a fantastic feeling in its own. And then being able to play with my kids. I'm out there and I'm playing with my kids all the time. Go back to 2018 to 2021 is a big difference between a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old, and a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old. There's a lot more activities. And now I find that they need a break before I do. Awesome.
I love that. I love that. So I have one last question for you. Clearly you've done the thing. Like, you've been such an awesome poster child of what employee wellness can look like, and how, Mike and the Dellbrook team invested in the employees. And now you're an inspiration to everyone else in the company. Like, hey, you can do this too. What would you say to Mike? Like, how much did it mean to you that he, decided, hey, we're going to invest in you guys and we're going to make health a priority and we're going to really change the culture here so that you guys have the tools that you need, that you're setting yourself up for success? What does that mean to you?
It means everything to me. Like we talked about, I wanted to make a change. I didn't know how. I really didn't. And to get personalized training, one-on-one, it can be expensive, and when Mike brought in this program the first time around, it came at the perfect time, because I wanted to make a change, and Mike making that investment in the employees, it opened up a whole new world to me, and being able to follow a program that actually works and make a lifestyle change. It's something that when you like you said, I'm a director of finance. I look at financials all the time. This isn't something that you can put into a spreadsheet and say, you're going to have $1 million return on this investment. The return on Mike's investment is astronomical, because it's been an absolute life changer for me. And it's something that I cherish every single day, because I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be at the weight I am today. And I wouldn't be, at the fitness level that I am today without that. I would not have been able to do it on my own. I failed. I have 40 years of track record to prove that I have 40 years of failing. So for him to make that investment, it meant everything to me, into my family, because I was able to take those lessons learned and really make lifestyle changes and be successful with it.
Well, I am so thankful that it did come at the perfect time for you because you are set up for success. And I know for a fact that you are going to inspire so many other people to do the hard things, to make health a way of life and truly change their lifestyle so that they can follow in your footsteps and become the best versions of themselves. So, Josh, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, sharing your story and being such an inspiration to Dellbrook and everyone that, man, you did such an awesome job.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And thank you for having me on and sharing my story. Like you said, hopefully even if it just helps one person, that's fantastic. And I want to say, thank you to you and your team as well on both of these challenges. You guys have been a huge inspiration, a huge help for us as well. And having that coaching and having that one-on-one with a coach and the program itself has it's been great. So thank you.
Awesome. I hope you enjoyed that episode with Josh from Dellbrook JKS Construction. Gosh, he's done such an amazing job, not only getting to be a healthier version of himself so he can play around with his kids and just have more energy, but also to inspire other people around him. He said one thing that really stood out to me. It's the small changes every day that add up over time. This goes against everything with our normal society. We think that we need to do all the things and instant result means instant gratification, and we just need to work harder to achieve what we want. When in reality, we need to slow down. We need to build a solid foundation. We need to create healthy habits that are consistent over time. Diet culture is not working. Diets are not working. You have to create a healthy lifestyle. And part of that is creating a solid support system. You spend over 50% of your waking hours with the people you work with. Imagine if those people were supporting you to help you reach your health and wellness goals. That is the power of employee wellness programs. So, if this episode was inspiring to you and you are looking to bring in some experts to help you build an employee wellness program, I know since we started talking about Dellbrook JKS and shared some of the success stories, we've had multiple construction companies reach out to us to say, hey, Nicole, we need some help. And if you're thinking you need help too, we would love to help you. You can click the link in the show notes to learn more about our employee wellness program at Healthy Steps Nutrition headquarters, or you can go to hireanutritioncoach.com and find a Healthy Steps Nutrition coach near you who can come into your company and build an employee wellness program just like we set up with companies. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please don't forget to subscribe and review this podcast so it can reach more people. We'll see you back here next week.